Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Welcome to our first webinar of the series that we've got planned. These webinars will take place every 2 weeks through December at this time, and we'll work to make sure that we can shift the time as needed to make sure that we can capture those of you across multiple areas. We've got myself, Kayla Howard. I'm the director of the customer success team here at SUMO, and I'm joined by my colleague, Angela, who is a solutions engineer and oversees the delivery of support here at SUMO. So for those of you that aren't aware, SUMO Scheduler is a Salesforce native appointment scheduling option that we have that really takes the headache out of booking meetings so that companies can focus on developing that customer relationship and really driving growth. For today, we wanted to use some time to go over some of the great new features that we've launched over the last 6 months to make sure that you're up to date, just to ease us into this webinar series, give you guys an option to take a look at what we have available and be able to ask questions. So by the end of today's webinar, we're going to understand the different ways to set up SUMO Scheduler using our new admin quick setup and the user license manager. We're going to learn about the different availability rules that you can use to define your service and location type availability. We're going to talk about how you can use SUMO Scheduler to create a wait list for appointments scheduled via the invite manager. We're going to learn how to use email and SMS related list features to really track your communications and ensure that you're reaching the right people. And we're also going to talk about how to schedule appointments against distribution lists for situations where you might need to be able to reach a large group of people, but you don't necessarily want to create a Salesforce record for those. So as I said earlier, we'll be using the chat functionality within the Zoom meeting to address any questions that you might have. Please feel free to ask questions at any time during the webinar, and we'll do the best that we can to get those answered as they come in. We do have a member of our SUMO support team that will be helping us with that. And if for whatever reason we can't answer your question immediately, we will do our best to post the Q&A along with this webinar recording after the session. So we'll put that together, we'll have it posted on our YouTube channel, and we'll make sure we have some links available for you to get there from our knowledge base. So with that being said, let's go ahead, Angela, and dive right in. So if you would first, go ahead and take us over to the admin quick setup page. Oh, perfect, you're already there. Guys, before we get started and talk about setting SUMO up with the admin quick setup, Angela, would you do me a favor? There have been some changes to this page. If you scroll down below the fold, you take us through what's now available there on that admin settings page?
Yeah, for sure, Kayla. So here in the SUMO admin settings, if you just scroll down, like Kayla said, there's some great FAQs that will take you to places in our knowledge base, also how you can log a case with our support team, also, chat with our support team. That's a new feature that we've added recently. And then just the different links that you can use to book a call with our support team. And if I scroll on this side, I can also see my org ID. I can see the version of SUMO that I have installed. I can grant login access directly from this interface now. So no more going to setup and then granting login access from there.
That really does make it so much easier. One more second, scroll back down for me. Guys, one of the things that I really like here is that we also have a link. If you look at what is new with SUMO in that section, you can quickly get to our release notes. You can quickly get to our blogs, but you can also quickly get to our ideas exchange. And that's a place where you can go in and you can actually request features, and you can take a look at the features that have been requested and worked and released, as well as upvote features that really look like something that might drive value for you and your teams. So really cool way to easily get to that information. Definitely cool to have it right there at your fingertips without having to hop through a bunch of different pages. So check that out if you haven't had a chance to already. Okay, so the first thing we want to start with today, team, is the admin quick setup. So as many of you know, SUMO already employs a full in-house implementation team. And we work hand in hand with our customers to ensure that implementation of SUMO meets the requirements in both functionality and time frame to go live. In addition, we have now released an opportunity that gives you the ability to go through an admin quick setup and self-implement. For those of you that are hands-on, you want to get that process under your belt, you want to go ahead and maybe just stand it up quickly. You don't really need Sumo's assistance out there. Even in situations where you might be onboarding a new admin and you want to take them through a quick process setup to quickly get them introduced to Sumo, understanding, of course, that you always have the opportunity to leverage Sumo to help with onboarding your new admins with training options. But with that being said, Angela, would you give us just an overview of what we can do now with this admin quick setup?
Yeah, for sure. So again, in the Sumo admin settings, I have this new option up here. It's called Quick Setup. And if I'm new to Sumo or, installing into maybe a new org that wasn't a sandbox refresh, this button right here would be lit up and I can click there and it will do all of those post install steps for me. So no more going to create your community and all of those things. Sumo will walk you step by step what needs to be done and automate a lot of that process for you. So you won't have to do that if you're new or setting up a new org. You can also click here and set up Sumo records. You can create locations, you can create rooms and resources. You can assign user licenses, which we'll go through in a little bit more detail in just a little bit. I can also set up an invite manager process, an online scheduler process, or an event scheduler template. I still can do things the old school way, I'll call it, and click here on the online scheduler and create a new from here, or edit or clone an existing template if I already have one in place. But this is just a quick way to be able to set up an invite manager process for, if you already have one for contacts and leads and you want to set it up for maybe cases, you can click here and this will walk you step by step on how to create that new process.
So the really cool thing there as well is that throughout the process, when you're actually working through it, there are tooltips and links to our knowledge base for helpful information. So in situations where you have a new admin that's coming in and you want to help get them immersed in Sumo, it's a great way, like I said, to take them through that process initially, but also to help them understand the different parts of Sumo, because that education is provided throughout the process. Okay, and team, again, any questions, feel free to use that chat there. Angela, I do have a quick question. Let's say, for example, let me see here. Nope, actually, I think you covered it. I just checked my notes and you got it, so thank you. Okay, you mentioned the user license manager. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that because that is a really awesome new feature. You want to go ahead and show us where that user license manager lives?
Yeah, so I can get to it right here from the quick setup and click assign user licenses, or over here on the left-hand side, I can click user license manager. And this is going to take me to this new screen. It's going to show me all of the different licenses that I currently own, any of the ones that are currently assigned, and then how many I have remaining. So no more going to setup and then installed packages to see, how many licenses you have and, who is assigned and those types of things. So I can clearly see from this one screen the licenses that I have. So to add or remove licenses from users, I would click add or remove, and then this screen's going to pop up. I have the ability to do platform licenses, the different suite licenses, and then the different modules that I can buy from Sumo. So if I just click here on platform, you can see that these are my admins. So within the admins, this is going to give them a Sumo license and a Sumo permission set. So no more giving them licenses and permission sets separately. This is going to do that all in one foul swoop. It's going to assign them the license plus the permission set. So this one will give them the Sumo admin permission set, the Sumo standard user permission set if I assign them in this section. And then this will give them what used to be called the Sumo standard user plus permission set. And what I would do is click, system admin and click on the name of my user and then add wherever I wanted to add that person. So I can do that. And then it's automatically going to assign them a license and a permission set once I click on save. So admin permission set gives me the ability for everything Sumo. I can access Sumo admin settings. I can access all the objects within Sumo. The Sumo standard user permission set is going to give me the ability to host and add other people to host appointments. The Sumo manager permission set will give me everything the user permission set does, besides I could add or remove availability for other users in the Sumo user setting. So once I'm done, I go ahead and I click on save. It's going to tell me that I'm assigning 2 Sumo licenses and I'm removing 0. Go ahead and click on save, and you'll see that this screen is going to update, that I now have 6 licenses assigned and I have 1 license remaining.
That's awesome. And Sumo support, if you would do me a quick favor, if you would grab the link for the permission sets from the Sumo 17 release notes and just post them in the chat for the team here so they have them accessible. So we have released information that really gives you a great breakout view of what permissions are assigned with each of these different groups. So you can check that out because, as Angela mentioned, when you assign a license, it now assigns the associated permission set. So again, reducing a step, making things a bit more simplified there for you. Okay, so we've got our admin quick setup covered. We know how to assign out our licenses here, and we can see what we've got assigned. Now let's talk about different ways that we can really refine our availability. So let's say, for example, you're a doctor, you're looking to be available for urgent care appointments 24/7, but you can only be available for regular doctor's visits during business hours. So in situations like that, we've released a feature referred to as availability by service that really lets you get in there and define different availability rules for those different services, giving you more granular control over how your availability is managed. Angela, would you go ahead and show us that availability by service?
Yeah, for sure. So for this, I'm going to go to the Sumo user settings. Once I have that loaded up here, you'll see the Sumo user settings where I can add and remove my availability. I can connect my calendar right over here in this section. And because I have that Sumo admin permission set, you'll see right here, I can change this from myself to any other user in the company. So to do availability, I'm going to go ahead and click on user availability. I can set my availability the same way as I did before any of the upgrades that I did. I can do recurring or specific. But if I wanted to define my availability at only a location, I could come here and choose my location. And you can see now it's going to show me exactly the location where my availability is set. So I can say from 6 to 7 in the morning, I'm going to be available at this location. So what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to be available from 6 to 7, Monday through Friday, for all of the services that I have to offer. So I go ahead and click on save. But maybe I only want to offer a specific service from 6 to 7 because that's kind of early. And it's only going to be for those extreme conditions where I want to offer that service. I can come here and I can choose my service, and you'll see that I have everything will be stayed highlighted in green where I offer that service. And I can come up here and I can add or I can erase, but I would come here and add that availability from 6 to 7 and then click on save. And now I'm going to offer only that service from 6 to 7. And another quick way to be able to do this is to click on list view, and I can come here and see all of my availability. And maybe I don't want to offer this 60-minute meeting from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. I can just quickly delete right here, and it will take that one away to have people have the ability to schedule at that time.
That's really, really awesome. A few other use cases where that could be handy. Let's say, for example, you're a marketing manager, right? You want to be available for lead qualification calls during regular business hours, but you might want to also separate out your time for sales presentations to occur after hours. We've also got some of our clients that leverage this feature in the education space. They want to be able to make sure that, for example, from a professor, they want to schedule certain meetings available during business hours, but they've got office hours where they might look to meet with students, and they can really narrow down their availability again. So you set it first at the location level to make sure that for that location, you're available, and at the service level, you have the ability to further define that. So definitely makes things much, much easier, and really helps you maximize how you spend your time. So we talked about availability by service. There's also a few options from a location scheduling perspective. So when I talk location, I'm going to refer to location types. So that's going to be our in-person, our virtual, and those types of options. So could you take us, Angela, through how I can define my availability at the location type?
Yeah. So if I go to the Sumo locations, I can do this by either creating new, or I can change an existing location that I have. So for example, I'll click on this Carthage location. And you'll see right here, there's location scheduling options. I can choose, you know, if I only want this location to be available for video conference, I would remove all those other options. And then when an appointment was booked from the online scheduler or any of the invite manager processes, when this location was chosen, it will only show me availability in this location when video conference is selected, or if your location or our location was selected. So I can define that at the location level. So I can have maybe one location that's set to only allow video conference and one that's set to allow for our location.
Okay. And then from an online scheduler perspective, I think there's an additional step we can take. Is that accurate?
For the location or the service types, I can do for the online scheduler, just like I can with the SUMO locations. So if I have the different services here, so you'll see my services, and if I can create new or I can edit an existing one, you'll see kind of the same option available here. Where I can set this service to only offer, be allowed to have video conference or our location. Just note that this is only available for our online scheduler processes, not our invite manager processes.
Yeah, and the great news team, we've had some great feedback about this feature, so we are looking to release it across the invite manager as well. Definitely stay tuned. And then SUMO support, just in case you missed my chat, if you would go ahead and just pop the release notes page for SUMO 17. We've got some interest in the availability by service offering there, and I'd love to be able to direct them to that page. Okay, so quick question. You can use the reactions to let me know if you've been in this situation. But how many of you have been scheduling, or maybe you're the participant getting scheduled and you have an urgent need, you want to be able to get in and meet with somebody as quickly as possible, but maybe they're booked out until next week. So they go ahead and they get you booked, and then you play email tag, you play phone tag, and you try to find out if there's any earlier option to get that appointment moved earlier. So if you've experienced that, feel free to give us a reaction. I can tell you personally, I've experienced that more times than I can count. I have no patience and I always want to do things as soon as possible, but that's not how it always works. Sometimes the people that I'm meeting with don't have availability to meet right away. So in situations like that, SUMO has created a waitlist feature. Now, it's not your standard waitlist. With our waitlist feature, the great thing about it is you still get to capture the customer in the heat of the moment. So you still get to lock in an appointment. They don't go to a list and we wait for an appointment to become available before we reach out to them, at which point they may have already moved on. We're going to capture them today, but we now have automation that gives you the ability to notify them if an earlier time slot has freed up. So what's great about that is, as the admin, you can control whether or not that feature is on. It currently works for our invite manager. So similar to what Angela just shared about our online scheduler, this is a feature that is coming to the online scheduler. But right now for invite manager with appointment links, with new appointment, you can go in and turn this feature on. And if your customer is interested in being offered an earlier time, SUMO will send them a notification if you become free at an earlier time, so that then we can go ahead and we can let them choose, yes, this time is earlier, it works for me. I can go ahead and reschedule to that appointment, or reschedule my appointment to that time. And what that does is it gives your customer additional satisfaction. It helps you get to them at a sooner point, but it also frees up your availability for later while better utilizing the time that you have available today. So definitely a great feature. Go ahead, Angela, if you would take us through that wait list option. Where do I enable that?
Yeah, so for that, you would go to the SUMO admin settings. And then here on the invite manager process, you can do it on one of the processes, or you can choose to do it on all. So I'll go ahead and click edit on this lead process. And where I'm going to navigate to is this notifications tab. So right here up in the top where the reminder settings are, you'll see there's a send sooner slot email notification. And for this, I'm going to send it. If I don't want this to be enabled, I would set it to do not send. And if I want it to be enabled, I'm going to set it to once per day. So what's going to happen is once per day, this customer is going to get an email if the box is checked when the appointment is booked, that would let them know if a sooner slot becomes available. If there's not a sooner slot, they won't get that email, but I can set it to them and I can choose the time that it's going to be sent every day. So maybe, you know, I want it sent first thing in the morning, so it's at the top of their inbox when they start their day, or maybe I want it sent later on in the evening so that, you know, they get it right before they end their day. So once I've got that enabled here, then I can go ahead and navigate to a lead or a contact and have that feature available for me. It's available for, you know, new appointment, email and invite, and the appointment links.
Yeah, guys, the great news about it is that the way that it works is it'll be first come, first serve. So let's say, for example, you have 5 participants that select that option. It will send the notification to all 5, but there is language there to help them understand that it is first come, first serve, and they'll be presented with a notice that lets them know that, you know, I apologize, but that meeting's already been taken. So it is nice and friendly. It gives you the ability, like I said, to really just get out there, notify them of an earlier time, keep your hosts utilized, and better satisfy your customers. Angela, quick question though. So once I do that, I now have the ability to be able to see the emails that have gone out to my participants. How would I do that today?
Yeah, let me show you. So I'll go ahead and go to the lead and kind of show you, first I'll show you what that wait list is going to look like from a booking perspective. So when you go to book that appointment, say you're going to hit new appointment, I'll show you what that's going to look like. And then you can see where those emails, you can now see those directly on the lead or the contact. So go ahead and click on one of my leads. And then I can come up here and I can click the new appointment or email an invite. So I'll go ahead and click new appointment. First thing that I'm going to do is choose my appointment type. Then everything else, I can choose my different settings here. But if I scroll down a little bit to below where I choose my date and my time, you'll notice this new checkbox here that says notify participant if an earlier time becomes available. So if I have this enabled, they're going to get that email at 9 a.m. if a spot opens up that says, hey, a spot has opened up. Would you like to book this appointment? Okay. And then once I'm done with that, I would go ahead and click book appointment. Okay. And you'll see over here in the activity history, you'll see the appointment that I've just booked. But then down here, you can see the different SUMO emails that have gone to that customer. So no more having to go to the SUMO email object to see those different emails and search for their email address. I can quickly and easily go to a lead, a contact, or an account and see that related list right here. Also, if text messages are enabled in your org, you can see the text messages right here from the related list as well.
Really cool thing about having access to the text messages team is you can also now build out a report so you can see and track how many SMS you're using against your allotment. So definitely handy to now have that information available. Okay. And then one additional item that I wanted to make sure that I covered with you today is the ability to schedule against distribution lists. It does not necessarily have to be a distribution list, but let's say, for example, you are booking a meeting and you're booking it with a large group. You've got your primary contacts, your primary participant, we'll say, and they're going to be bringing along their entire department. So rather than plug in 15 different email addresses, you now have the ability to send to a distribution list. We can do that without creating a Salesforce record for those situations where you don't need an actual record in Salesforce. And situations like that might give you the ability to be able to, let's say, for example, I want to meet with Angela on my support team, right? I want to meet over with Angela, but I want her to bring her whole team along. I only want Angela to be able to choose the time. I only want Angela to be able to reschedule or cancel. But again, her entire team is expected to attend this meeting. I don't want to enter every single individual email address. So this is a time when I would use this feature. Angela, would you take a look and show us where we would turn that feature on?
Yeah, for sure. So for that, Kayla, I would navigate back to the SUMO admin settings. Okay. And then right here in the general settings, right up top, it says allow scheduling with non-Salesforce records. If I enable that, then that will be available for me, but I can disable it if I don't want this available in my org.
Okay. And then what does that look like when I go ahead and try to schedule?
Yeah, so if I go back to this lead here that I just booked an appointment with, I would come here and click, new appointment or email an invite. I can also do this from my appointment links, but same process. I would go ahead and choose my service, like I'm going to create this appointment. But right here where the participants are, so you see I'm the host and then Jim is my participant. I can come up here and type in an email address. And then I can simply hit enter, and you'll see there that it added them that email address, which is a distribution email, to the appointment. And I don't need to create them as a lead or a contact first. So I can do that for all sorts of different reasons. Maybe Jim's spouse wants to come, but she's not already a lead or a contact in my org. I can add their spouse or their child to the appointment without having to do that. Or a great use case, like you said, Kayla, is that distribution list.
So yeah, definitely really cool feature. Again, this one won't be out there for everyone. There are many of us that want to make sure we've got a record for everyone we are meeting with. But in those situations where you simply don't need a record, but you need to extend the invitation, you want to make sure they get the update emails, you can now do that by going ahead and just adding them as a participant without creating the record. This information on the participants added will be stored on the additional info object. So you can also pull it into the multi-calendar and be able to see it in the hover over and the pop-up very easily. And you'll have that information there. Anyone have any questions? Okay. So hopefully you guys learned some excellent information about the features that we've released. These features we've covered with you today, team, have been released in version 17 and version 18. You can actually navigate over to our release notes page on sumoscheduler.com through our knowledge base that you can access there, and you'll be able to see the upcoming releases for the next 2 releases that are planned. We try to keep it updated to give you a preview of the next 2 that are coming out. I believe our next one is due out, I want to say probably by early October. So stay tuned for that. And then we'll be able to go through that. We'll make sure that we cover the new released features in the following webinar post that release. In the meantime, guys, let us know if there's anything you'd like to see in these webinars. Feel free to drop us a line. You can reach out to Angela or myself. I'll go ahead and pop our email addresses in here for you. So there is mine. And there is Angela's. Thank you. Yes, we're happy to have been able to have the time with you guys today. But yeah, so stay tuned. We will look to dive deeper into the settings that we have available for the online scheduler in our next webinar coming up in 2 weeks at the same time. And as I said, we will look as well to make sure that we have good balance for those of you that might be at different time zones around the globe. So again, until next time, I hope you guys all have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll get this video posted to our YouTube channel and online along with the agenda and the Q&A that we covered today. Hope everybody has a fantastic rest of their week.
Thanks, guys.